For many gamers across the world, there was one phrase that inspired them to take on the completionist lifestyle. 4 little words, 15 letters, and an apostrophe that changed gaming and popular culture forever. Gotta catch 'em all!
And when there's something that had such a massive impact on your childhood, you want to revisit it. Today, we're going to look at the very first time Game Freak revisited one of their previous games by recompleting the first generation of Pokemon in the form of Fire Red and Leaf Green. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of The Completionist New Game Plus, a show in which I'm recompleting the first 120 games from the original Completionist lineup. More on that in the description down below. There's a link that'll explain everything that you need to know. The Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow episode here on The Completionist was one of our most iconic and most breakout successful episodes we had from the original lineup. But it's special for a lot of reasons. The biggest one is that it's the debut of Alex Fossiani. You guys know Alex from the internet. If you don't know who Alex is, Alex started out here working at the company as a writer, and his first episode that he wrote was the Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow episode, because he's a Pokemon master.
Boom. You heard it here first.
We wanted to make the decks, but before we made the decks, we wanted to introduce Alex into the YouTube space, and so we made Super Beard Brothers, which is our Let's Play show. This is actually only a year older after Completionist launched.
Not even, yeah.
Not even. So if you guys didn't know, I have a Let's Play channel. You can go over there right now and subscribe.
We made custom pillows that you can.
These are not for sale. They're just for us.
Just for us.
Sorry,
you
people
can
at
dream
home.
about having these back at home as part of our Cribs episode that we're going to shoot next week.
Someday we will. You know, when we talked about doing Pokemon again on the channel, we thought it'd be appropriate if we did it kind of Super Beard Bros style. So a couple months ago, almost a year ago, we did a Let's Play of Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and we thought, you know what, that was a great jumping off point for us.
More than double the number of Pokemon in the game available.
Yeah, it's
better graphics.
The music's been enhanced, obviously. And so today we thought, you know what, we're gonna go back and revisit the original Gen 1 with Gen 3 graphics and Gen 3 Pokemon and all that fun stuff.
Boom.
So
get ready, baby.
Super Beard Brothers presents Fire Red, Leaf Green Completionist style. Let's begin.
If you have existed at all in the last 20 years, you know what Pokemon is.
It's almost worth more than Harry Potter, Naruto, and the Disney princesses combined.
So instead of giving a quick timeline on the history of Pocket Monsters, let's instead try and answer a different question. Why would you remake one of the most beloved games of all time?
Money. You do it for the money.
Hey, that's not entirely true.
You're telling me that they didn't remake Pokemon for the money?
Okay, well, of course they did it to make money. They're a business, but Fire Red and Leaf Green are so much more than that. They are the missing link between the first and third generation of Pokemon.
Wait, what do you mean Fire Red and Leaf Green are the missing node between generations?
First off, it's missing link. Second off, did you ever try to trade your Pokemon from Blue version to Emerald when you completed Emerald?
No.
That's because it's impossible! When moving on to the Game Boy Advance, it became physically impossible to transport Pokemon from the original Game Boy games. Instead of trying to invent a new device that would connect the old games with the new games, Game Freak figured it would just be easier to remake the first games.
And so they did. But why Fire Red and Leaf Green? Weren't the first games red and blue? Where did the green come from?
Well, the easy answer is that the original games in Japan were red and green, not blue, but there's actually more to it than that. According to Junichi Masuda, the director of the game, fire and water are opposing concepts and would allude to conflict. A leaf, on the other hand, is a symbol of peace, and in this world of conflicts, they wanted to give a name that suggested a peaceful world.
But wait, doesn't fire burn down plants? How the hell is that peaceful?
Okay, that's true, but once the forest burns to ash, it is then that it can truly start to be reborn.
Whoa, that's like really deep, dude.
Shaka, brah.
Now, when it comes to completing Pokemon, the bulk of time is spent trying to catch every single Pokemon in the game. In Red and Blue, there were 151. Since Fire Red and Leaf Green are in the 3rd generation of Pokemon, there's actually 386. That's a lot of Pokemon. But here's the thing, I already did that. When I completed Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, I had to catch every Pokemon possible in order to complete the Pokedex. And that took me over 551 hours to do. And I don't have time to do that again. I have friends and family and other games to complete.
So instead, Gerard and I decided to sit side by side and play through both games together with whichever Pokemon we wanted to catch.
So then I guess instead of the completionist, you're all getting the chillpletionist. Dude. Fire Red and Leaf Green are like if a 5-star chef recreated their mother's recipe for meatloaf. They are filled with all the joy, warmth, and nostalgia of the originals while having years of refinement and tweaking that make a better product overall.
In fact, we think that we have figured out the perfect recipe for Pokemon Meatloaf.
For the base of this Pokemon Meatloaf, you're going to need meat and potatoes. The meat and potatoes of Pokemon are the gameplay and the story.
Yeah, and for the story, you don't really have to change anything from the original. Just stick with your standard player goes on a hero's journey archetype.
Start with a mute child and stir that child until they become the very best, like no one ever was. This may seem basic, but it adds just enough push to make the player want to finish the game.
The only new part of the story was the addition of the Sevi Islands, and these are 7 islands that are all unlocked after you defeat the Elite Four the first time.
The Sevi Islands serve as a way to get access to some Pokemon that couldn't be found in the original games, as well as connect the Team Rocket storyline between the 1st and 2nd generations. It's a nice little extra spice thrown into our awesome dish.
Now for the gameplay. While the original was a lot of fun and loved by many, it was a bit unbalanced. Fortunately, this has been mended through the years, and now we have a product that, while not perfect, is much better than it was before.
When the first Pokemon games came out, they heavily favored some types of Pokemon over others. I'm looking at you, psychic types. This was fixed in Generation 2 by splitting the special stat between attack and defense and adding 2 new Pokemon types.
Gen 3 took this even further by adding more variety to each individual Pokemon.
Each individual Pokemon also has a nature. This is a unique property that causes one stat to increase and another to decrease. This makes every Pokemon you catch truly unique and adds a whole new layer to battle strategy.
But not all of the gameplay changes happen with the battling. The best addition to the game has got to be the running shoes. Moving around at a snail's pace in the original games drove me insane. You would have to wait until you got the bicycle in order to move at a decent pace, and that's about halfway through the game.
In Fire Red and Leaf Green, you get the running shoes right after the very first gym, and you can immediately feel the difference. I never knew that shoes could change my life so much. Now I know how little Bow Wow felt in Like Mike.
Now that we got the meat and potatoes of our Pokemon Meatloaf taken care of, it's time to add the gravy. And with Fire Red and Leaf Green, that's the presentation.
The first thing you notice when you boot up the game is the color. While the original games had a single hue over the entire screen, Fire Red and Leaf Green have a lot of bright colors that make all the details pop at each location you visit.
You see this in the sprites as well. Instead of being a single blocky square, each character model is based off a rectangle. This allows a lot more realism and detail in the sprites. Although when you think about it, a square already is a rectangle. You know, that's a smart joke, everybody. You learned that 2nd year of preschool.
I was also really drawn in by the music. The music was beautifully ambient in the first games, but there is now so much more detail. The cycling theme really stands out and always makes me stoked.
However, it didn't improve every song. The Lavender Town theme is still delightfully creepy, but it doesn't feel as nerve-wrackingly empty as it used to. Sometimes, less truly is more.
But that's a really minor nitpick. This presentation combined with the story and the gameplay make for a delicious gaming experience that fills your stomach and warms your heart. And I think we've officially milked this cooking metaphor for all it's worth.
Not quite, because every true chef knows that the way you make a dish truly special is by adding your own secret ingredients. And you do this in Pokemon by creating your own unique teams.
My favorite addition was my Dragonite. I got to completely wreck shop with him and even had a ton of fun naming him. He went from Bust a Nut to Bust a Move and finally to Bust a Rhyme. because he'll break your neck, fool!
I love playing with both Pikachu and Clefairy because I got to use the main mascot as well as the Pokemon that was almost the mascot. Seriously, look it up. That's a little Pokemon trivia for you guys.
Sometimes using these teams made the gym battles a lot harder than they should have been. Honestly, that made it a lot more fun.
Take it from Sejun Park, who won the Pokemon World Championships with the frickin' Pachirisu. It's more rewarding to win with the Pokemon you love rather than with the ones who are technically the strongest. There's a quote about this in the game. I'm paraphrasing it. Once again, look it up.
Being able to take my time and really enjoy playing through Fire Red and Leaf Green was a godsend. If I had to sit down and catch every single Pokemon as quickly as possible, I would be a mess and definitely singing a different tune about my experience. Instead, I got to take a slice of this delicious Pokemon meatloaf and eat until I was perfectly content. Aw man, now I'm really freaking hungry.
Don't worry. I already started heating the oven to 386 degrees exactly.
I am really happy I didn't have to spend over 500 hours catching all the Pokemon in Gen 3, because the reward does not seem worth it at all.
Once you catch every Pokemon, go to a man in the Game Freak headquarters in Celadon City, and he will give you a certificate. It's digital, so you can't hang it up on your wall, but I'm sure you can take your Game Boy Advance and nail that to your wall. That would look fucking metal.
You do get a bit more for defeating the Elite Four, though. After you unlock the National Dex, you can beat the Elite Four again, and they have stronger teams this time with some new Pokemon. But if you had no issue beating them before, then you won't have trouble doing it again. Okay, yeah, that doesn't really seem that worth it.
Yeah, but the journey itself was a ton of fun, and I would take it with you again in a heartbeat. Look at that. Saved it.
I feel the exact same way, my bearded brother. We're the best.
It was so good.
Even though it was not a race, I still won.
It was not a race. And
it was a race, I
was.
still won. I still won the race.
You didn't win anything, and
I won the race.
It was a great friendship that we built.
That I won.
It was a fun
I won the friendship.
It wasn't about the... It's about the journey.
It's about the journey of me winning the friendship.
Yeah.
When we completed Fire Red and Leaf Green, there were 16 gym badges earned,
4 Elite Fours defeated,
7 additional islands explored twice,
386 Pokemon transferred over,
78 episodes of total playtime, and 1 tasty Pokemon meatloaf with a nut, move, and rhyme all busted into it.
Actually, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah, that's... Meandering through Fire Red and Leaf Green was a blast, and it felt really great to build a team of Pokemon that I felt personally attached to. It was nice not having to be a machine and get to enjoy the game as a person for once.
Satoshi Tajiri said himself that he wanted Pokemon to be able to be passed on from one game to the next. That way, not only can you keep Pokemon with you from when you first started playing the games, but you can then pass those Pokemon on to future generations of completionists and help them along their Pokemon journeys. And that truly goes to show you that Pokemon is not about the victories, defeats, or achievements you experience, despite what Gerard says. It's about the friends you make along the way, both monster and human.
But it's also about winning.
There's no race.
We raced.
There's no timer. No one's racing.
We raced.
We did it
we
next
won.
to each other.
I won.
We did it next to each other.
It was on the
we
same
were just hanging
screen.
out.
Yes.
2 people chilling, hanging out. It wasn't on the same screen. We both had separate screens.
For people at home, it was on one screen.
That's true. That's true.
And that screen says I won.
That didn't say that. Never
says
said
I won.
It didn't say it.
I won last
Maybe
time. I won
bit.
this time.
I don't remember, but
I'm just a winner.
Nobody ever won.
Hashtag winning.
So good.
Charlie Sheen.
Someone has read The Secret. I could tell.
When talking about the original Pokemon games, there's a lot of nostalgia and rose-colored glasses and all kinds of things about the games that we all know and love. After playing this, I think that Fire Red and Leaf Green are the best way to experience Pokemon, hands down. I'd rather go back and replay these ones on the Game Boy Advance than go back and play the original on the Game Boy.
Yeah, the original ones are important. They did the thing. They made it popular. But if you're looking back and you want to play Gen 1 again and you love Gen 1, you're going to get more frustrated playing those older ones than you are going to be, like, enjoying it. This is just what you think you remember made real.
The improvements from this version of Gen 3, Gen 1, and the original Gen 1 is so subtle but so perfect. And I think that people who want to get into Pokemon for the very first time, I'd recommend starting with the Fire Red and Leaf Green ports, or wait till Pokemon Let's Go Eevee Pikachu. As far as completing the game goes, it's actually much easier this time around for us, because one, we didn't have a race aspect. The original episodes had like a racing aspect, and they still will going forward for the newer stuff, but for us, there was no race.
This was a remake, so we were able to move all our stuff from Ruby and Sapphire over. You know what I mean?
Emerald, yeah.
It's the same Pokedex, basically.
And Fire Red and Leaf Green from the original episode for
exactly.
Gen 3. So we had a lot.
Yeah, so we were able to do a lot of that in the course of doing this without having to rush. So it gave us the chance to like kick back and enjoy as we completed this time around. So it wasn't that big of a deal, and it's definitely clear that this is the better version of the first gen of games.
So, with that in mind, guys, we still give this game our completionist rating of complete it.
Complete it!
That's all the time we have for today, guys. So please, as always, let us know what you think about the episodes in the comments down below. Guys, if you did not know, Super Beard Brothers, go check us out there.
You cannot buy this pillow, but you
It
can
is
visit this
super
channel.
tight. Yeah, and go check out Alex on the decks. Check him out on Scary Game Squad. Alex is a pretty important part of what we do here
Stealing this Bulbasaur.
every week.
Stealing this, taking him
Thanks.
home.
Thank you for
I'm
stealing.
gonna feed him, and he's gonna come to my house.
I'll give it to you if you know where I bought him from.
Build-A-Bear Workshop.